Hi, Gary.
I,
Good day to you. First and foremost, how are you right now?
really good, very good. Excited about having a record out. Excited about doing, new music.
Yeah, having said that, Gary, what excites you the most in this upcoming single of yours?
The single, I I'm proud of writing it. I guess I think it's uplifting. It's got a feeling of maybe late seventies sound about it. It's I'm excited about opening the whole album to people because this has been something I've been doing for the last 2 years. And it's me outside of Spandau Ballet. It's me. There's songs that very much autobiographical, if you like. They were lyric driven. All these songs are about something in my life that's happened or how I see the world in some way. And also, my work with Nick Mason has been very inspirational for me as well. So there's elements of that in there. So I just can't wait for people to hear it now.
Now, what's the story behind your upcoming single, which is ahead of the game? Can you tell
Um,
us briefly?
well, I suppose it was a very euphoric melody that I found, and I wanted to write a song about the love for my wife that I have, she's one of those people that's just always one step ahead of me. She's inspirational. So I think, I procrastinate. I worry about doing something. I'm always concerned about, will this happen? Will that happen? Well, she's just getting on with it. So it's a song for people who inspire you. It's a song about inspiration and how it's okay to be, sort of running up behind them and trying to catch up all the time because they lead you into places that you may not have gone to before. That's what the song's about.
Okay, now let's talk about your album, which is In Solo. So, briefly, what is this new album all about?
Well, it is about things. It's not just a series of songs, which I tended to be when I wrote for Spandau Ballet. It used to be a series of songs that I think when you write for yourself, you tend to write about things that are more on your mind. And a lot of what was on my mind was getting to a certain age, I think, and how you tend to I've lost my younger self. I see my younger self a lot on TV. I hear my younger self all the time. People talk about that person, but is that person me anymore? Not really. But what elements of it are still empowering me now? So I think I wrote a few songs that were about that. I Remember You and I Am the Past is about that. They're not they're not like about celebrity. I try and make all the songs universal in the end. Otherwise, no, if they were very specifically about me, no one would be interested. You've got to make them about
Yeah.
everybody. Um, and then there's also a few songs on here in solo and The Haunted, which talk about living in big cities and the sense of big cities can be very unfriendly places. They can, people can feel very isolated. There's a famous American artist called Edward Hopper, and I became very inspired by some of those paintings that he was making about, the lack of communication between people. And I set it around a couple that maybe I knew about. Maybe that was me one day. I think it probably was me at one point, and in a relationship I was in, and how they are obsessed with getting likes on their social media, but don't know how to 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 be together, um, and looking for validation outside. So I kind of came up with a story which is about them really, and I spread that out over two songs. Um, so there were, and every song on there is a facet of what I've been through. The Fastest Man in the World is about a
Yeah.
guy always trying to run away from commitment. And I wanted to write a song about that period in my life. For 7 years I was
Okay.
doing that. So, but it's I think you reach a certain age and you don't need to lie anymore. You don't need to make it
Yeah.
up anymore. All the subjects out there, the 7 stories, you've had a part in all of them.
Wow. Did you do this album during the pandemic or pre-pandemic?
I recorded it a lot during the pandemic. So I wrote it mostly all before the pandemic, apart from a song called Too Much, which has Roger Taylor from Queen on. That was that was kind of written at the beginning of the pandemic, feeling overwhelmed by it all. It's not specifically about the pandemic. It can be about the environment. It can be about crisis on the street is the main line in that song. But I can't move my feet. I didn't know what to do, and I saw it's a song about, I just want to protect my family and be with the person I love and the people I love. But a lot of it was written before, all of it that was written before, apart from that. But as I started to write it, record it, everything locked down. So I found that I was doing a lot remotely.
Yeah.
So I worked with Roger remotely, a lot of bass players and drummers. I would send them the demos, and then we'd work through the computer screen, and they'd send me back their drums, until in the middle it opened up. And then I went in and I replaced all the pianos with real pianos and put real strings on there. But even then there was social distancing, which
Yeah.
just sort of highlight the lyrics of the track in solo more than I ever meant it to.
Yeah. I asked that question because I want to know your thoughts on, as a musician, as an artist, how did this pandemic change your perspective in life?
Well, I think as an artist, it made me very hungry to work. I actually found the restrictions really quite inspiring. I think you need to know what size your canvas is. If it's, if time is, if you have all the time in the world and, you've got this meeting to do, that meeting to do, there's so much that, you can put things off. So I felt the restrictions may energize me to get into my studio, to do as much work as I could and to finish the record before the pandemic finished, because I was committed to go on tour with Nick Mason.
Yeah.
And then when that got cancelled, I had an opportunity to fill it with this. How it affected me as a family, it was, we look back I know, look, people have suffered, but we look back nostalgically on that first lockdown because our family were together for a long period of time. We were, enforced to be together. And in a way, that was a lot of time I wouldn't have spent with my children otherwise. So I think as a, some of that wasn't easy, but it was very enjoyable as well to be closer to my kids for 3 months.
Yeah, that's pretty,
I,
that's a good thing that you
yeah,
realize something in during these trying times.
yeah, and then creatively, we started a podcast. Everyone started communicating. They were at home with their little studios, and a lot of people made podcasts. I made one called Raconteurs, which is we do every week still now. We talk to famous rock stars. We've had Alice Cooper on, John Bon Jovi, David Crosby. I mean, it's been really going well, and we wouldn't have done that if it hadn't have been for the
Yeah.
lockdown.
You're
So
taking advantage of the pandemic.
I take advantage of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Now, of course, Gary, we've known you as, of course, Spandau Ballet. Who will never forget your group, your artistry there? How did Spandau Ballet change your life in general?
Well, it made art the thing that my job, so I didn't have to, go to an office to work or, go to a factory to work. I mean, I was blessed in that I could spend my life doing the thing I love the most, which is writing songs and making music. I was successful at a time when, British bands sold a lot of records worldwide. So my opportunity to travel, which I'd, go to places that I would never have dreamt of going to before, and working there. So, I mean, I wouldn't be living in my house if it wasn't for Spandau Ballet. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it changed everything. But it doesn't come without its price, because we
Yeah.
went through some very, very difficult times emotionally together. And I think a lot of bands do. When you meet at school, as we did, we didn't get together in a band because we were a bunch of friends. We got together because he was the only one who played drums. He was the only one who played bass. He was the only one who, so we were kind of made a band, but we weren't initially friends. But you're forced to spend a lot of very emotional time together. and the older you get, the harder that becomes. And you want more. People want more autonomy and want different things.
Yeah.
And so there is a time when you think, well, and every band has its moment of great success.
Yeah.
And so you spend a lot of the rest of your life in the shadow of that success. That can be
Correct.
an issue too.
Right. 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 Now, I've asked you that because your song, the song of your band, it really resonates from the year you started up to the present generation. What do you think is the secret behind the success of your band?
Spandau Ballet, the songs. I think just that it was successful in a period when everyone was only obsessed with music. That maybe isn't the case now. That there wasn't as much music coming out. Do you know there's as much music released in a week on streaming than there was in the entire year of 1984 globally, right?
Correct.
So there was it was more, there was less to listen to and be, so there was songs became very powerful and they went under people's skin. And some of those songs become folk music. They become just music
Yeah.
that people don't even know what band made it, but it's out there. And so, and also they're good songs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Now, moving forward, Gary, aside from this new album, what can we expect more from you in the coming months or in the coming years?
Right. Well, so obviously I'm going to be doing a lot of the work on this album this year, but when I get towards the end of this year in December, I'm back in rehearsals with Nick Mason, the Pink Floyd
Yeah.
guy I play with. Nick Mason's Source Full of Secrets. So next year, the first 6 months of next year, I'm working with them. I'm touring with them, America and Europe, and I don't know whether we'll go to the Philippines. It's possible.
Wow.
But
You should when this
yeah,
pandemic ends.
who knows when that's going to be. But the plan is I'm touring with them. And then I'd like to make another record because now I'm really in a flow. Now I'm really excited about the music and that I can, I feel very, very happy with this album. And I think it's the best piece of work I've ever made in my life. And I want to do some more of that. I want to continue writing that. And I'm already halfway through the next record.
Wow, that's good to hear. Now, kindly invite our audience to support your single, to support your upcoming album.
I think I've already done that. I'd love everyone to get out and pre-order In Solo, obviously, and if you haven't heard it already, ahead of the game, I'm very proud of that. And it's probably currently on one of your radio stations. If not, it's on a streaming service near you.
And of course, your message to the Filipino fans.
Oh, I absolutely loved it when we played in Manila, and it was a fantastic audience. And we did another show here with Spandau Ballet in London at Wembley Arena in front of about 10,000 Filipinos that live in the UK. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was just so much love in the room. And I'd love to come back.
Wow, we're looking forward to see you here physically when this is all over. Thank you so much, Gary, for your time. And I'm so happy to speak with you virtually. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Vaughn. Bye.